He's doing a good job here. He's got his hands locked.
An 11-2 major decision for Isaac Rogel and the Boilermakers.
What a win for Hayden Filipovic to get the job done. He put Andrews on his back a couple of times.
Grayson Clark scores the final 8 points to take a 9-4 victory.
Beautiful job by Blaze. You saw him kind of drag it back with his head stuck in the middle.
Boilermaker faithful here at Holloway Gym giving Ben Venadia a round of applause as he picks up his 4th Big Ten dual victory
And
of
he
the
gets the
season.
takedown. Brody Bowman.
Welcome to the Always Aggressive podcast. I'm your host, Tanner Lipsett. With me, the head coach, Tony Ersland, our producer, Corey Palm. How we doing, guys?
Trying to stay warm. Temperatures are frigid here in West Lafayette, probably like they are lots of places. I'm sure it's not exclusive to West Lafayette, but it's cold, and it feels good to be in a wrestling room in the morning.
Pardon me, I don't really care about those other places. You know, be where your feet are.
That's true.
And my feet are cold, so.
It's cold. I can confirm.
It's been a, we got dumped on last weekend. After having the Friday night duel and then having the rest of the weekend to be able to hibernate was huge for us.
No, that was awesome because, as you mentioned, we got dumped on, and we could have easily been Michigan State, who I know we're going to talk about. But if you talk about their weekend, I mean, they left here and went to Bloomington to wrestle IU and then got stuck there till Monday, not even wrestling their duel until Monday.
Right.
It felt really nice to be at home for the remainder of the weekend after that.
Yeah. Got the snowblower out and cleared things out here and there. And
I got the shovelers out, the 2 freshmen. were my snowblower, so
Yes.
we got them out and got them working too.
that's good. It's good. It's good for them.
It is.
Builds character.
Absolutely.
So
That's what I told them too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did they believe you?
Yeah, they didn't look like they were convinced.
I don't
but
think anybody believed me either.
No, that's how it goes when you're young.
It is. So my guy is still, at 9, he's not really.
Nope.
He's more in the way than he is helpful when it comes to that.
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of
He's
stuff.
throwing snowballs, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. The good news is I've got the snow blower, so if he throws the snowball, I can just,
Turn it on him.
turn the
That's a good
crank and
move.
just fire it away. Yeah,
that's a
great.
good move.
Yeah. We brought up Michigan State. Let's start there this week.
Yeah.
Back in the win column with a was it 29-7 final over the Spartans. Took 7 to 10 matches.
Yep.
Nice outing overall for the guys.
Yeah, solid. My only comment is it's the tale of two halves in terms
Sure.
of my mind, right? Like we wound up starting at 184, and James got it started the way we thought he could and should. Got a lot of points going, got a major decision out there for us. But then it seemed like we got bogged down. We kind of let Michigan State maybe slow us down, and we didn't respond as well as I thought we could. Because if you look at the next 3, Ben Venadia, just didn't finish strong. Didn't feel well.
Started well.
Started really
well.
strong. Struggled to finish. Didn't feel well in the match is kind of what he had told me, and dropped a close one. But still, that continued and kind of bled into heavyweight and 125, where we just really were not offensive in the way I would want us to be. To put points up and get to our scoring hold. So that was a little. We just a little sluggish there. At 25 and heavyweight especially. Ben, like I said, did not finish strong. I think he has a good handle on why. But the other 2 matches at heavy and 25 just didn't get their offense going. And this is the time of year when you want to be executing and know where you got to go to create offense. So
100%.
At least though we did get Blake Borman continued his strong performances and went out and got a nice win.
Second straight ranked win for Blake.
Yep.
Went out and took out Caleb Weand from Michigan State, who had a really nice Southern Scuffle.
Yes.
And had been riding that wave there for a while. But Blake, after taking out Dylan Shaver out at Rutgers, followed that up with another win, and it seems like he's getting his mojo going in the right direction at the right time of year. Yeah,
I think he's definitely figuring out where he needs to wrestle from, where he's comfortable wrestling these best kids from, how he needs to execute. So definitely progress made for him the last couple matches.
Another boost, Grayson Clark returned to the lineup, got a big win at 141 pounds, and looked good doing so.
Absolutely, and then that's where the back half of the duel started, right? Where we were really getting to our aggressiveness picked up, and we got to our scoring holds, and that started with Grayson. Came out on the guy's leg, in the first probably, 15, 20 seconds, and then executed from the top position, too, to keep the points going. So really happy. He'd missed a couple duels, and you're always looking, are we rusty or not? And he certainly wasn't. He came out and got after the kid right away and got his points going.
Gavin Brown with a barn burner, 149 pounds. That was a crazy one. Got put on his back, got cradled by a guy that had cradled him before, and but then got on top and put in some work of his own. Just all over the place emotionally, as you watch that match.
Yeah, I mean you're right. It was interesting because we're taken down and then the cradle, and then we got to fight off our back to end the period to not get pinned. But then he responded well. He came back, put himself on top, got his turns going, and really opened up. So good response, from something you didn't necessarily see coming, right? You mentioned riding that roller coaster, lots of highs and lows, but he got a lot of points going. And I think I found out last time he wrestled that guy, something similar had happened where he was up big and then got cradled as well. So nice to see him kind of overcome that and get a W.
Clayton Jones, dangerous opponent. I've seen him in some barn burners over the years where, I mean, it's not unfamiliar to see him put up double digits in have a double digit, a 17-15 match or a 19-17 match. He throws caution to the wind and goes after it.
Yeah, dangerous. That's the word you use, and I think that's exactly right. He's dangerous from a couple of positions, both from top and his feet. He's got some strong scoring holds. So, yeah, nice to see. Again, the response is what I was more proud of Gavin, where he got behind, had to respond. He did. Shows he can kind of turn up the pace and go get his points, even when he had some adversity early in the match.
Stony Buell got back in the win column at 157, got us a nice boost, and then another return to the lineup. Joey Blaze, after missing the trip out to Maryland and Rutgers, got back in and did his thing.
Yeah, he looked good. Strong on his hand fighting, and even on his leg attacks. I know he's working more on heavy hands and go behinds was kind of his goal going into the match, but he even showed some strong leg attacks, and his shape didn't look too bad either. For being out, he still looked like he's got his lungs.
Brody Bowman closed up the match with a nice tech fall win at 174, and he continues to pour on the points and light up the scoreboard.
Yeah, he's been sharp. We talked a lot about his ranked win with Pinto out at Rutgers, but he kept it going. And again, you just don't want to get lulled into these matches where you wrestle down to your competition. Like he kept the takedowns coming and kept the points going.
So that puts us at 2-2 on the year. Crazy, we're already halfway through the Big Ten dual schedule.
It's flying by.
But as Corey and I were talking before you got to the studio, don't leave the state of Indiana for the rest of the dual season. 3 more at home, one trip down to Bloomington, and then that's all she wrote for the dual schedule.
Yeah, we've said it, I think, last time as well. It's an awesome place to be. It gives us opportunities to train and do some things that when you're on the road you just can't do. So just really excited for what that means for kind of peaking as we get down towards Big Tens, especially, and the national championships.
And I'm not, we alluded to Michigan State's struggles at IU. I'm definitely not upset about not being on the road and in the weather of this time of year and all the distractions and confusions and problems it can bring.
Yeah, we've had our own challenges. We kind of joked about them as well, but that's one that I was glad we were out of. We missed this huge storm, and if you look, I mean, it wasn't just kind of down there in Bloomington, right? I mean, you saw, what was it? Maryland and Penn State moved their duel up to Saturday instead of waiting to Sunday because of the storm. I think Oklahoma State canceled a duel. I mean, it affected a lot of people all across the states.
Yeah, there was a lot of lines through duels on the schedules on the various websites. So it's like I said, great that we got ours in, and then we're able to hole up for the weekend and got the guys off their feet for a couple days, let them recharge with the long week here, and get ready for action. Wanted to kind of transition a little bit here. We talked about the return of both Grayson Clark and Joey Blaze to the lineup, and I think it's worth noting, you've seen a lot of headlines in wrestling lately about, some of the stars of the sport being lost for the season.
Yep.
And just it's a contact sport.
Yeah.
There's a rough element to it, and nobody makes it out completely unscathed. But how, as a head coach, do you try and manage this and keep guys from getting too beat up?
Yeah, that's the challenge, and I think we've talked a little bit about it in the past on scheduling. Especially the non-conference part. We control the non-conference schedule, not as much with the Big Ten. I know the Big Ten tries to balance it out and not put too much burden on any one team, but you try to manage it through your scheduling. Like, you try to pick your spots where you really want to be ready. You're going to see good competition, and then maybe coming out of that, you either have an area where you can rest or you schedule maybe it's a little bit lighter, you say it, right? And so you try to manage it in that way where it's just not week after week after week. I mean, as you said, it's a tough sport. There's the weight cut and everything else.
Yeah, I was saying I didn't even talk about the weight cut.
Right, it creates quite the grind. And so again, you just try to make an ebb and a flow. When I say pick your spots, like, you have to test yourself. So we go and we try to see some really good competition, and then you try to follow that up with some lighter spots, again, where you can either train or recover your guys, or maybe you're not going to tax them in the same way. Maybe it's a lighter load, but it's a never-ending task. I mean, I can't tell you we've even got it perfect. Some years go great and it works out the way you envision it, and some years it's just a train wreck, things you don't see coming. And you mentioned a lot of guys out. I mean, just this week again, it was Ryan Crookham, 133-pounder.
Man, that guy's had some terrible luck.
Terrible luck, right? High placer a few years ago at NCAA's, but now he's out again after being out last year. So he hadn't wrestled much.
No, but he hadn't. I know. I think he only had 5 or 6 matches on the year.
Yeah. So it's the never-ending search for the right mix of testing your guys, seeing good competition, which you need to. I mean, we've got to be pushed to grow and develop in the way we want, but still find time to recover and develop. So.
And all the while, you're trying to get guys to, qualify for those automatic bids at your conference tournament. You're trying to pick up 2 of those 3, whether it's the coaches rank, the RPI. Or the win percentage, to make sure that the Big Ten maximizes its field in the national tournament. And and as a result, we try to maximize the amount of guys that we can get to Cleveland to go see how many points we can score. Yeah, no, that's absolutely right, and you're right. And for people that don't know, quick review, right? You need 15 matches for an RPI, right? You got to have that 15 to have that. Now the next coach's rank is going to come out next week, or the first coach's rank. Will be out next week, and they require, I think, 8 matches on that one. I think it's somewhere in that neighborhood. I think it's don't quote me on that, but I think that's the range. I think it's 8 matches to be in the first coach's rank, and they expect you by the last to have your. And you have to have competed within the last 30 days. 30 days. That's right. Okay. Right, so that's the balance we're trying to find. Grow and develop your guys, see good competition, so you have a strong RPI. Get your match count to 15, which usually should not be tough. But if you have an early season injury and you're out a tournament or 2 or some duels, you might have to go find something, from a tournament standpoint late. But yeah, those are all considerations, in your mind. And I think the interesting thing that came up. That I mentioned to you too is, like, after Crookham was hurt, there's a lot of people calling for second semester sports and how do we adjust our season, because there is this year a lot of guys out, and I don't know how many more this year say than most years, but it just seems it feels like a lot at the moment because we're in the thick of it. Yep, and we've had a couple guys out too, right? With Joey and Grayson coming in, going out of the lineup. So it is interesting where those discussions go, I guess. Yeah, the second semester sport is always a huge one. I know we've touched on it, on the national level for the last couple years, and obviously it brings with it a whole bunch of challenges. But I think that it definitely offers a variety of solutions as well, and some things as far as, like, you shorten the season up, you reduce some match counts and wear and tear on these kids, because they don't need to wrestle 30 or 40 matches in a season. Like, that's just a lot. Yeah, if we get to 30 by the end of the year after the national championships are done, right? That includes Big Ten and NCAA's. Then then in my mind you're about right. Right. You don't need to have. That maybe that 15 to 20 at most going into NCAA's is probably about right anymore. Yeah. So, and then there's, Corey brought up earlier, we were talking a little bit about this before we got on the show, but, like, you open up the possibility of getting the National Wrestling Championships away from March Madness.
Yep.
And, obviously those are arguably the biggest event in college sports.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're talking about, what is it? How many teams? Is it 68 teams now? Is that right, Corey?
Yeah, 68.
68 teams, nationally, spread out in, 8 to 16 different sites all over the country and, piling in. And so it's, obviously we don't have any problems packing the national tournament, but at the same time, it would be awesome to have more eyeballs on it.
Yeah, the goal is always to grow your fan base, right? I think that's just the goal for any sport, or should be. And you just mentioned, one of the biggest reasons I would support going to a second semester sport is it would help us get away from some of that March Madness weekend as well. The other one, and you and I have talked about this at length at times, is just retention of student athletes. I think to have a fall where you're not traveling, not cutting weight, and these freshmen get a true semester where they're not being pulled away for their sport, I think is a big deal for wrestling. Because if you look at a retention for us, getting kids off to a strong start is the key to them, staying throughout their career. The kids who struggle early because, hey, they're cutting weight and they are traveling, right when we start to take semester exams,
and they're away from home for the first time. They're learning how to, they're learning how to feed themselves and live on their own.
Yeah.
So many different things, manage their own finances. A
couple of caveats there, right? Couple of big caveats. And we still want to, and at least I still want to think about that. I think getting them off to a good start, getting their feet underneath them, that only helps them. Then second semester, after we've got a semester behind them, hey, now we can run hard and feel good about where everybody's at.
For sure. So it's an interesting thing. You hate to see some of the big names in the sport go down. You hate to see kids, losing portions of their career and how that works. And that's always going to happen, right? Like we said, this is a contact sport. This is, you're out there trying to physically dominate the other guy, and so injuries are going to happen. You want to find ways. You want to control what you can control.
Yeah, there you go. That's what we seek to do. That some things are going to be out of your control, and you just got to roll with the punches. And that's what we try to do. We'll figure it out as we go.
Well, we'll continue to try and knock on wood and keep the Boilermakers healthy, and as we push here towards the end, and guys don't have to miss too much. But speaking of more opportunities to watch the Boilermakers, big one this weekend.
Yep.
If you're going to come to a match this season, this is the one to come to. We will be in Mackey Arena for our annual Mackey Mania match. We're hosting Wisconsin, 1 p.m. Mackey Arena on Sunday. Weather's supposed to hold off.
Cooperate.
Yeah, it's supposed to cooperate.
Probably going to be cold. But
it'll be cold.
No snow, so that's great.
It will not be cold in Mackey.
No.
No AC in Mackey for those of you that don't know. But should be a pretty awesome event.
Really looking forward to it. Another good quality opponent in Wisconsin. I think I mentioned it before, they're off to a good start this season. A number of ranked guys. We have a number of ranked guys. I think it was we're back up to 8 guys that got mentioned in rankings this week. So there will be a lot of good matchups. And of course, I think there's some alumni stuff. There's just a lot going on there to make this a great day. So it's something we're really looking forward to.
We had people claim tickets early.
Yep.
I want to make sure we reiterate, you do not need a ticket to attend. We collected tickets and we put that out there so we could plan appropriately for security purposes and for concessions. We don't want to have you guys wait in line all day to try and get a box of popcorn or something like that.
Yep.
But then also, but if you come to the door without a ticket, you will get in.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point to make.
I don't want to hear anybody out there saying, "Oh, I was going to come, but I didn't get tickets." You do not need a ticket to get in. Yep. We're not going to scan tickets. We want to let's fill up Mackey as much as we can to get. I know that there's over 2,000 tickets already claimed.
Yep.
Which puts us in a good position to make sure we're staffed appropriately.
Yep.
But
get a strong walk up, and we'll have a great crowd.
Come one, come all. Mackey Arena should be an awesome place for an awesome duel on Sunday. Speaking of which, going to be a lot of really good matchups in that duel.
Yep.
I think a few to highlight as we kind of break down the duel a little bit, 149 with Gavin Brown and Joey Zargo should be a great match.
Yeah, absolutely. Ranked closely, together, right? Very competitive match. Both guys have had some strong results this year.
Very conflicting styles between the two.
Yeah, very different.
It's going to be it'll be interesting to see how the flow of the match goes.
Yeah, Zargo very much take ground, wants to hand fight hard, get your hands on you, and Gavin has a lot of different skills, but he'll sting you from the open. He can slick you. He can scramble. You know what I mean? So the contrast there will be interesting.
Following up closely, 157 should be another good ranked matchup between Luke Mackler and Stoney Buell.
Yep.
I don't recall. Did they wrestle last year?
No. Meckler was still down at 57, and if you recall that duel,
right.
Joey was even out. Joey wasn't feeling well in that duel, so I believe we had Wyatt Krejcia bump up to wrestle Meckler in the duel. Yep.
So it'll be a first meeting between Stoney and Meckler, and that should be a really good one.
Yeah, absolutely. Another, two kids that have been in the rankings, a lot, and are good competitors.
97, the solid opponents for Ben Venadia keep coming.
Yep.
Kind of sidetrack here. 97 in the Big Ten this year is incredibly deep.
Yeah, a lot of good kids. Our guy included. This is a rematch from last year, though. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
The Wisconsin used one of their 5 dates for Ingham, even though he was a true freshman. So Ben did in fact compete against Ingham last year and beat him in the duel.
Yes, but I think I counted. There are 12 guys. In the 12 of the 14 Big Ten guys are in the rankings at 197 pounds. And that, considering it was 13 a couple weeks ago after with Iowa's situation, just an insanely deep weight at the Big Ten level.
Welcome to the Big Ten.
Right. No, it's not uncommon to see. It'll be interesting to see how many bids we actually get for that. Was it 184 a couple years ago where we took 12? They had to wrestle all the way out to 13th place.
Yep. I remember one year 133 went that deep.
Yep.
There's just been, over the years, weight classes here and there, again, where you're all going or dang near.
It's crazy. I mean, and we talk about it with some of the smaller conferences and the smaller team, smaller deals where you only have maybe like 6 guys in the bracket, right? Mm-hmm. And you're taking 4 of the 6. Yep. And crazy stuff happens that way. But to think that you have a 14-man bracket and, 11, 12, 13 of them are going to get to nationals, that's over a third of the field. Like, it's just wild.
Yeah, it is, but just indicative of why we say the Big Ten is so good and why it is a grind, right? Every weekend there's a new challenge, and so it doesn't get any easier. And, the sooner you just say, hey, this is what it is and look forward to each and every one, then you're going to be in a good place.
Well, looking forward to that rematch between Venadia and Ingham. Should be another great match. This one, we've looked at it a bunch of different ways, and Wisconsin, like you said, is off to a hot start, but should be a very closely contested match, or duel between the two teams.
No, absolutely, should be a great duel. We talked about Blake doing well the last couple matches as well. Wisconsin has an All-American there, with Fugit, and so I think. That's one. I think that's another one to watch, right?
Fugit was a guy just had an incredible NCAA tournament last year. Really, on some levels, kind of came out of nowhere to make the run to the semifinals that he made.
Yeah, absolutely. So you got to give him credit for the run, and at the same time, we got to find a way to get our guy get his hand raised.
Absolutely. You said, it's going to be a nice opportunity. We've invited some alumni back for the duel. Going to have a nice gathering. The RSVP list, last time I checked, was up over 80 people.
Oh, fantastic.
So we should have, it's always great to have, and they're coming from near and far. We got people coming from as far away as California to come take part in the festivities. And
that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that we've had such a good, strong response. I hadn't heard that number updated until you just said that, so that's great.
That's because you've been busy coaching wrestling, and I've been busy counting names.
So you are up in the office actually doing something when we're down in the wrestling room.
Contrary to popular belief.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. See, there you go. Proof at work. He's grinding away too.
In between my breaks of shoe shopping, I do manage to get a little bit of work done here and there.
There you go.
So it's kind of nice that way. But it'll be great to have everybody out for that. Again, 1 o'clock, Mackey Arena, Purdue versus Wisconsin. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be a great duel, great environment. Last year's crowd, we had IU in there, and last year's crowd we filled about the whole lower bowl and bleeded a little bit into the upper. And so, hoping to see our fans turn out in that same way again.
Absolutely.
That's about it for this week's show. I don't know that we have,
That's all?
Being at home, we don't have any more. We don't have travel stories.
No, we don't. I mean, you missed out on us sitting around a hotel lobby for 5.5 hours, or sitting on the tarmac for an hour. Yeah, no, I get it, man.
Losing bags, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, that takes out a good chunk of that. So we'll have to really think hard for future shows.
You can only talk about
fill content.
You can only talk about shoveling snow for so long.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We can only talk about your kids shoveling snow for so long.
They weren't happy. Dad's very particular about how things get done, right? That's probably the coach in me. So
that doesn't sound like you at all.
No, not at all. Very surprising, right?
I'm trying to transfer some of the images of you going after guys in the room to your kids shoveling snow in the driveway, trying to make that It's pretty good.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I'm trying to imagine both Mason and Jackson and how they would have both differently responded to
very
that.
Different.
Yes.
Very different.
Highly entertaining.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, again, like I said, that's about all we've got for this week's show. We appreciate you joining us. 1 o'clock, Mackey Arena.
Going to be a good one.
Should be a lot of fun. So that's it for this week. For myself, the head coach, Corey Palm, I'm Tanner Lipsett. Thanks for joining us on the Always Aggressive podcast. Boiler up.